Welcome to a very special episode of Rye Guy's Garage. I got my hands on a 70 Chevelle again, which is awesome. This video, though, is going to be in reverse order. Instead of seeing if it will run and drive, which we're going to do in the next video following this, I already know what this car is going to look like. This is going to be my personal baby. I've wanted a 1970 Chevelle ever since my dad unfortunately had to get rid of the one he was supposed to give me since I was a child. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the body work to this and go ahead and paint it while I'm allowed to use my boss's shop. He's in Florida right now. He was generous enough to let me use his shop to tear this thing apart and do some work to it. So while it's snowing and blowing outside, it's 70 degrees in here, I'm going to go ahead and strip this thing down, get it in paint, budget paint. We're not doing a crazy full restoration, and bring you guys along for some of that journey. But I have to hurry because I got to get it off this trailer. This is my boss's trailer, borrowing that. So we got to get this thing done and off the trailer and potentially put some glass in it. So let's get started. So a little backstory with the 1970 Chevelle. My brother and I, when we were younger, my dad had a 1969 black Chevelle and a 1970 blue Chevelle 454 in it. And my brother and I got to choose which car that we wanted as kids. And my favorite color was blue, and I liked the way that the 70 Chevelle looked. I didn't know anything about cars, and I still didn't until I was a teenager. But something about that car was amazing to me. So fast forward, we're teenagers or whatever, took it to prom, drove the car a lot. It was fantastic. And getting out of the Marine Corps in 2016, my dad fell into hard times and he was pondering getting rid of the car, and he offered it to me for sale. And I had the money at the time, but I didn't know what was happening or what I had to pay for out of pocket for my transition to the Marine Corps and blah, blah, blah. So I had to pass on it, unfortunately, and it went to a family friend of ours, and he's taken really good care of it. So ever since 2016, I've wanted to get another one. Well, I got a 69 Chevelle from my uncle, and I did that car pretty much how I was going to do this one. And I did that car up, and I wasn't super happy with it because it still wasn't a 1970. It wasn't what I wanted. So I ended up selling that. I made a pretty good profit off of that car. And now I was in a position where, I could get another car. So I got a 1971 that I was going to clone into a 70. It was cheap enough, I figured I might as well jump on it. And that's the car you saw us put the doors on in one of the other videos. So the problem with the 1971 is once we started getting into it, we just kept seeing dollar signs. Every body panel was junk on that car. And in order for it to be a pretty good driver, we could have slapped body panels on it and just got it good enough. But Ryan would have never been happy with that, and it just probably wouldn't have worked out, and it would have taken way too long. So I started looking for a 70. They were way out of my price range. I don't have 10 grand sitting around that I can just drop on a car. So I found a couple, and, my dad said, if you find a good one, we'll go look at it. I said, okay. So scouring the internet, couldn't find anything for months, relatively even close to me. And everybody wanted buku bucks for them because 70s go for a lot of money. So finally, a couple days ago, I saw this car again for sale, and it's been for sale for quite a while. Nobody wanted to buy it. So my dad says, see what the guy wants for it and see what it's got in it, and we'll go take a look at it. Well, this car was 5 hours away, so when we did a round trip to go get it, it was about a 12-hour round trip, and that's pretty hard on my dad these days. He's getting pretty old and decrepit. So we talked to the guy, came to an agreement on the price. My dad actually talked him down quite a bit, and I'm glad he did because once I started getting into the car, I could some stuff needs work. So basically, my dad said, hey, if you can get a trailer, we'll go get it, and I'll buy it for you since I had to get rid of your 70, and you can have your 70 back, which you were always supposed to have. Now, I'm a grown-ass man. I can buy my own cars. I have so many cars. I have 20 cars by now. And I didn't want my dad to do that, but he really wanted me to have this car again. My brother got his gold Chevelle back that he had gotten rid of. He built that when he was a little kid. And my dad really wanted me to have this. So he insisted on, hey, I'll pay for it, and you can do the car however you want. So that's the story of how we got this. And I'm forever thankful that he was able to do that for me, and I hope that someday I can repay that same favor for him. Now, diving into the car a little bit more, pretty much everything is here for this car to put it all together. So I'm gonna do that. But first, I kind of just want to do a quick walk around to see the before and afters. Most of the car is pretty good. A lot of it is still original. A couple panels have been replaced here and there, but it's a decent driver quality. It's not 100% rust-free. There's spots that are blown out in the floor and in the trunk pan, which those are easy to replace. Stuff like the doors, there's rot on the bottom of the doors, which, we have doors. I have like 4 sets of doors for this car. So we're gonna go ahead and probably replace these doors, or we're just gonna body work these. But this is a 1970 Malibu car. This is essentially the exact same car that I got when I bought that 69, except this one's a 70. 307 car. This one has a turbo 350, I believe. I don't think it's a turbo 400 transmission. My other one was a Power Glide. 10-bolt rear end, I'm unsure of the gears. We're gonna check that. But pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna knock down all these that are for Malibu trim. We're gonna fill all this stuff in and essentially make it an SS car without calling it really an SS, because it's not. The way that I'm gonna build this car, it's not an SS. It's gonna be a custom car for me, exactly how I wanna build it. And, I don't need to tear up an SS to do that. But overall, it's a good driver quality. I can throw this thing together and drive it and be perfectly happy with it. I don't need a super shiny car. I don't like shiny cars. It's just another thing to ruin and be mad when you screw up your, $2,000 paint job. That's with me doing it. That's if you had a professional do a $10,000 paint job. I'm not interested in that. These seats are pretty rare. My brother said they're worth quite a bit of money. So I'm gonna clean these up, and I'm gonna go ahead and resell these so we can take that money and put it right back into the car. So that's cool. It's got the bumpers for it, fender extensions, headlights, bolts here and there. I have a different seat. I hate these diamond pleated seats. I'm gonna swap these out. I need to get a headliner for it, sail panels, stuff like that. It's got the rear glass, it's got the front glass. All this channel is in good shape, so I don't need to bodywork any of that, which was the hugest problem on the other 71 car that I have, is all this was rotten. So this car's in pretty decent shape. Frame's not too bad. It obviously needs a real frame off restoration, but quarters need some work down here. But really, for what I'm gonna do with this car, I don't care. It's just, this is gonna be my hot rod, and I'm gonna beat the crap out of this car, but I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna make sure that everything's ready to go and it doesn't rot away. I'm gonna drive the car. So with all the history being covered and how we got this car, I'm gonna go ahead and start tearing off these little rivets on the doors and start getting this thing in black primer, and then we're gonna go ahead and rattle can restoration this thing. I know what you're thinking. Everybody's gonna be mad. I don't care. This is my car. That's the way I did it before. I hate $10,000 freaking paint jobs that are nice and shiny. Somebody door dings you when you wanna take it to the store, you're gonna be pissed. I don't need that. I just wanna spray paint it like I did the other one, which turned out amazing, by the way. It's gonna give me the kind of rat rod look that I want, and I don't have to worry about the paint. So that's exactly what we're gonna do with this car, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started here, because it's gonna be a long process. Got all these cut down. We're gonna go head on over to the other side. I've got most of the car body worked. I went ahead and knocked down this red primer with a Scotch-Brite pad. Scuff it up a little bit. Make sure that the black primer that I'm gonna use is gonna seat on there. And then we're gonna shoot it down, see what it looks like after that. This thing really does need a lot of body work, but it doesn't have to be perfect for me. I just kind of want it running and driving. It's kind of, the motor that I'm gonna plan on putting in this, you're not even gonna notice the paint. Nobody cares. I certainly don't care about paint. So before I leave the shop here, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this in black primer, let that dry, and then hopefully be on my paint by tomorrow or Sunday. We'll see. Okay, we've got most of the car in primer. Probably just gonna replace these doors. There's enough rot in them. You know, I have extra doors. Spots where I didn't do, I still need to finish up the body work there. Gotta plug those Malibu trim holes there. That looks way better as a matte black car, which is great because it's gonna be matte, metallic, gunmetal gray. So, pretty slick. Paint's still drying, obviously, streaky over here. This primer lays down so good that the finished product really looks like it came out of a gun. So that fender's toast. A lot of body rot here. And then these stupid pins for the Malibu trim. When you remove them, there's a hole. I don't really want to finish welding up the hole there. All this is jacked up here, and then there's obvious bubbling there and rot here filled with Bondo. You can see how bad the doors are. So I'm just gonna rip that off and throw the one that I have on it. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. See you guys tomorrow. The whole car is shot in black primer. I got it tacked down, so it should be pretty much ready to go. Passenger side fender, couldn't get it off, so I'm gonna mess with that at a later date. But car's pretty much ready to go. So let's shoot this thing and it's gonna look sweet. Now I'm sure on camera this looks pretty good, but in person you can see all the screw ups with the body work and stuff that I was just too impatient to mess with, really. You can see all the splotchiness, which is when the dust coat is going to come in handy. It'll even all this stuff out, so it should be one sheen of gunmetal. I mean, it looks okay. I'd really like the paint to be smoother, and I'd like the bodywork to be not so crappy. But again, I was rushing it, and it just didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. My 69 turned out way better because the bodywork was already done. So I believe if I did a wrap, I think it would cover a lot of these imperfections and stuff like that. So we'll see, but I'll hit it with another dust coat today and see what it looks like after that. We also need to try to align this door. It keeps hitting this fender right here. It's the dude that put it on. Didn't line anything up, and it just kind of is destroying this door, which, I mean, the door needs replaced anyways. But all that needs aligned because I can't even open and close this driver door at all. The passenger door is okay, but this driver one's pretty messed up. So I'm gonna see if I can get in there, possibly pull this fender off, realign this door, put the fender back on, and go from there. Here's a little better view of the interior. Needs, small patches like that. Overall, pretty dang clean though. It's a nice car. It'll work for what I'm gonna use it for. And I'm pretty sure it came with everything. I found these gonna put these in there after I paint them. Washer reservoir, headlight buckets, lock assemblies, emblems, mirror, visor, trunk latch. I wonder if these are original. Maybe. These are in nice shape though. Came with pretty much everything to put it back together. So that's cool. I don't have to buy much. So day 3 was finished. My dad actually came over and helped me. We put the back glass in, and then before I left, I went ahead and painted the headlight fender extensions and the marker lights for the back. Went ahead and threw another dust coat on it. It actually does look a lot better that way. The paint seems to be more even now that it's dusted on there, and it takes out all the striping. So it's okay for now, but I do have to get this out of the shop today. So unfortunately, I can't finish buttoning up the front end and do the glass and replace the doors and whatnot. So bummer, but I will be back on this once I can either get it back in the shop or once it gets warmer and I can start bolting stuff on.